Hey, this is Tracy with Color Me This. Welcome to my channel, and welcome back if you are returning. Today is episode 70, and it is going to be a daily color. I am going to work on the page that we did the peach colors yesterday, and I didn't finish all of them. I attempted to talk, telling a story while coloring, and I spent an inordinate amount of time here on this mushroom set. So I'm going to walk you through what I did. I did finish up this mushroom and went ahead and blended out actually both of these, put a little bit of peach in the centers of the flowers there, and then added peach to the spots on the mushroom. So these butterflies are done as well. I actually missed the first day I did, which was episode 68. I missed this flower. So that has been done. And then I also colored in the frog. You'll see I added a lot of the shadow and highlights. When I am coloring and I am this far away, I can't quite get the precision in the highlights until I sit up at a desk and do the last, like a 20-minute quick lightening and darkening. And then I also spent some time erasing some overcolors. So today I am continuing on. We're going to start with the greens, and I have for this I only did 2 tones of greens. I call it moss and leaf. So I have those colors sitting right here, and I'm going to grab my leaf colors and start in. I have some bigger leaves, and then I have some blades of grass. So the blades of grass, I'm going to go in a little bit darker, focus more on the darker colors. And I'm not going to tell a story today because I need more practice at that. I will probably pick and choose episodes that I can share a story. Since yesterday kind of put me behind, today will not be story time. I will focus on the coloring. I did enjoy using the pencils. I had one color, and I don't know if, did I write a note? Yes, I wrote a note. And when we get to doing the backgrounds, I will share my discovery. And this is when I was doing some testing of my blend that I want to do for the background. I did find that I had difficulty with one of the Castle Arts pastel tints not wanting to blend well, so I had to go pull a light turquoise, I believe it was, that I needed to pull. So I do want these blades of grass to be quite on the dark side to give enough differentiation from these long pieces of grass. So just the tops of them are going to be lighter. And then I'm going to focus on the leaves going lighter to give them the appearance of like a third color tone. But I didn't feel that I needed a true third color tone. I could just achieve that by using more or less of these 4 colors that I have. I haven't told you the colors yet. So let me... One of them is a Castle Arts. So the colors are 20, 85, 86, and 88. Hub, I'm coloring a little earlier today. It is only 12:30. I'm just doing something a little different. Last night ended up being quite a long night. I got distracted by a couple of other things. So today I'm trying to get my color done early, and hopefully my processing of 69. I'm always trying to work one ahead. I had grand ideas that I would be able to sit and maybe even color, 2 45-minute videos. And I haven't quite been able to do that yet. This weekend I might test that out and see. The reason why I am interested in trying to get a little bit ahead of the game is that my parents are coming on the 8th of April, and their goal, and here I told you I wasn't going to tell a story, and it'll be a quick story, and then I'll go back to focusing on these leaves. So they are coming, and somewhere between them making their reservations in December and then having to move them in February, I don't know if you guys remember the whole Max 9, whatever the Boeing plane is, the 737 Max 9, maybe that was it, had a door blow off, and because of that they grounded the planes, and that's how my parents were coming via Alaska Airlines, and they were going to come here in February. So in January, when all this happened, my mom just thought it would be better if she moved out her flight to, and the next date she could get for a dog sitter was April. In the meantime, after that all got changed, they have property. They have kind of a little farmlet in Arlington, Washington, with horses and dogs and a big garden and lots of, like, my mom rides a tractor, and they have to mow 5 acres of lawn. And so they have decided to look into moving here. I am the only child, and so I have told my mom, if she wants to have help down the road, that she might want to consider moving on her own terms, not when her health fails to the point where then she can't take care of everything. And her husband is on board, as far as I know. I will find out more about how on board he really is when they get here. So my fingers are crossed, because I moved here because of my back. You already heard my backstory yesterday. And so I will not be moving back to take care of her should the need arise that she needs someone to take care of her. And I am more than happy to take care of her. She just needs to be much closer to me. And if she decides that this community fits for her, that would just make me even happier. And I think that they would really love to get rid of their responsibilities and come here and enjoy the kind of resort lifestyle where every day is somewhat sunny and warm, and then you can exercise to your heart's content. So I have to switch now. I have done, with those 4 that I showed you, 2 different styles of leaves. I hope you can see the color differences there. And now I'm going to grab the moss, and we are going to color. Oh, this isn't moss. These are like extra green ones in the middle. So we're rotating over here to my moss colors. I have 3 of them, and they are 102, 103, and 104. So these are very tiny leaves. I'm even going to sharpen these. As I was playing with last night's video that I put up, episode 68, I actually ended up sitting there. I kind of wasn't really motivated to do a whole bunch else than color. So I have colored on my scratch paper, which is a copy of this image, pretty detailed. And it was really fun to sit there and play with these colors to get a good game plan. My color scheme is rather unorthodox. I enjoy doing odd color combinations and not your standard colors. I just find it is more challenging to me to choose colors. I guess I like to choose colors. Some people like to go and see how these are colored. They like to do the tutorial walkthroughs or a color along. And so far, again, I don't typically color in coloring books, so this is my first time. And even when I color coloring pages, I generally always choose my own colors, and that's the same as with doing card making. I enjoy choosing colors of my own making and choosing. and enjoy when they are a little bit off the beaten path. So because I had a rather odd color choice in mind, it started with a particular pencil that after I get a good way along, I will share the quick inspiration of how it even came about. That after I had the purple and I didn't really have any colors picked out, I ended up coming up with this peach set of tones. Okay, so I finished the moss. I might end up darkening the base of those little tiny leaves, but I won't do it now, and it won't change very much the look of it. It'll just intensify the colors when I go through and add a little more darks. In this case, on this side, I wanted the moss to be on this side, and then I picked these small leaves to be the moss on this image next to it, because that way these sets of leaves, the color tones are next to each other. And they're both small. So I ended up coloring quite a few hours last night, which was rather fun. I was supposed to be card making, and I have found that right now I am addicted to coloring. I will admit I am addicted to exercising and coloring, and the card making, which I've done forever and ever, feels like more of a quote-unquote job than the coloring does, which is kind of funny. But that channel is a mature channel and is monetized, and so, I have to keep the subscribers happy over there. And it's not that I dislike making cards. When I finally get myself to focus on it, I do enjoy it greatly. And I do enjoy that I can share cards with people. And I always like to have a good inventory. So that's the moss that coordinates with that moss. I'm going to do a quick touch up of the centers with the darker. And I am using the moss green, which is the darkest, at the base of these petals where they connect to their branch. For the most part, the pastel tints blended very nicely as the lighter range of tones with the Evazar. I believe both are wax-based. I don't think it really matters. As long as they work together for you, you can mix oil and wax. I don't think I've even ever seen or heard of people saying you can't mix the two. So I've always mixed what I wanted to mix. I get a color, and if I know that a set has a color, I don't really pay too much attention to what type of pencil it is. And with the professional pencils, I mix the Luminance, Polys, and Pablos with regularity all the time. And then Derwent Drawing has a really lovely white and black that I enjoy using, and I just mix them all. Okay, so that's the moss. I'm going to set the moss down, and I'm going to pick back up. I actually wanted to have these big leaves be lighter, and so I have picked 020 and the 085, and these are the leaf green tones. I'm going to start by having this light leaf. Oh, did I say my husband is shopping? So he's not napping. He won't nap till later today, but he did go shopping. He is the cook of the family, and so he likes to go to the grocery store, and that is where he is at. So I don't even know if I can do the full 45 minutes, but I thought, oh, it would be great to experiment and explore coloring at some different times, because at some point that will come up where I will have to do it because of my schedule. And so these are just really light leaves, just to be different. And I may come in and darken this up, but it will only be one step darker than you see, so it's not going to use a dark. Yeah, I thought, well, he's gone. I am going to try to break out the book. I keep my coloring stuff here over at my recliner, so it's the current coloring stuff, so that I'm pretty much always ready to go. And from here, I can see maybe a couple of bits of cleanup and smoothing out that I can do on my own time. Okay, we're moving down, and I have two different types of leaves. They do have the solid veining and then the partial veining, but notice there's a solid vein, partial veins, and here's a partial with the solid. So I am treating this whole set of leaves as the same. I didn't want to try to overcomplicate it. So I am grabbing, these are going to be leaf green, so they're going to use the full range of the, what I call leaf green, which is 020, 85, 86, and 88. So I actually don't think I use 020 on this one. I can tell that it is starting no lighter than this. Apple green is its name. So I'm going to edge with the kind of color blocking the light areas. And then I'll go to the medium and then the dark. And I still don't know if there's a big difference in your colors if you start with the light and go to the dark versus the dark to the light. I have read in some cases where if you're doing a blend and it has a variety of colors that aren't just a light, medium, dark range of the same color, that yes, there is a difference. You know, if you have a red and a blue, the purple might come out different, whether you put the red down first or the blue down first. But I don't believe when it comes to these typical same color blends, if that there's a difference. Now I do know, so here I am going in pretty light with my middle green, that I have a smooth paper. It doesn't have a lot of tooth, and if I want to ensure that the dark can make a statement, I don't want to fill all the tooth in with the light or the medium. So I do need to leave the tooth available. So you do have some considerations with depending on the paper you are coloring on and how much tooth there is available for you to apply your colors. In that case, there is a difference. And I hope that all made sense to you. I will say that I still love downloadables, and I have a video that I need to do. I have found 2 more great downloadable sources, and I will do that as a special episode. Probably, this is Friday, so it'll probably be this weekend that I will get that going. I am pretty excited. I found it a few weeks ago. I think I found it, somebody put a comment in a video, somebody I was watching doing something, I can't remember even what, if it had to do with pencils or if it was a color along. I actually do like watching color alongs. I don't generally color along with them unless it's an animal portrait, you know, like a deer or a cat or dog or something. Then I will actually get out my materials and follow along. But I find it very relaxing to watch people coloring anything. The whole act of coloring is very relaxing to me. So this big leaf, I'm trying to follow the veins with this dark color, and I am building up. So it'll take a couple of layers to get that one finished up, where these smaller ones, I'll be able to go in and just finish them off the first go. Yeah, so I found this little tidbit, and I'm going to try this right now. And I did. And then I've received there's an email update that you get periodically, and I have received 3 of their weekly updates, and I definitely feel it is a good source, so I'm going to get that videoed so you guys can add it to your list. And the other thing I want to do that I have not done yet is I have my online resources that I moved out of my YouTube description because I now am doing these color alongs and I want color lists, and so the description just gets so cluttered. So I moved out my online resources, and I'm going to add a section to that is called an online coloring page, specifically for downloading digital pages to color. And one thing that I found that I've never even thought about is color by number. One of the weekly items was color by number, which I thought was great. So I did get those downloaded because I've never done it before, and I'm curious how it feels to do a color by number. So I can, make a video on how it feels and with whether or not color by number really works for me. I could see color by number being interesting if you really are at that moment, you want to color, but you don't want to think. You don't want to have to get analysis paralysis. And if you're like me and you tend to get all worked up about what colors to use, and you just don't know what kind of colors that you want to work with, so that you can just grab a color by number that puts the colors in place for you, just tells you this is what you do, and you just do it without thinking. I have never done any coloring like that. I do remember paint by numbers. Do you guys remember those as a kid? I was a horse nut, and I wanted anything to do with horses. Absolutely anything. Puzzles, coloring, drawing. My parents were really silly and bought me a horse when I was 11, so I already had the horse, had the equipment. I loved making my own equipment. I would macrame halters, bridles. Not that they all stayed together very well, but the good intent was there. I've always been a crafty person. Okay, so here's how we're going. I can tell that when I did my sample, I went darker than this. So let's get another layer down and see. So I'm taking the middle color, kind of smoothing out the between the light and the dark. This leaf is the scruffiest looking. So I am filling in, I see some tooth, and then I will save the middle. Maybe I'll color that little bit of bare paper. And I'm still okay with these leaves being a little on the lighter side because I do have night sky. I have a unique color palette picked for the night sky, and so having these lighter will mean it'll pop nicely. Okay, so oh, that one didn't even get a dark in there, did it? Let's go get the dark. Yesterday it was I went and played disc golf. I think I already mentioned that, and it was 79 when we left, but it was really dark clouds, and we did get rained on a little bit. And by the time we came back, it was down to 71. And this morning, when I headed off to work out, I noticed it was only like 55 when I was getting ready for Zumba, and my back was a little stiff from disc golf yesterday, and so I opted not to swim today, which is why now I'm ready to sit down and color a little early. And it was cold this morning. I had to put on a hoodie and a jacket, like a windbreaker jacket, for riding my bike to the manor where we do the Zumba. So I am looking at this. I think I'm going to leave the tone the way I see it. This big leaf needs some smoothing out, but I would really like to accomplish the getting both colors down. So I'm not going to perfect what I've got there. I think that's a good start. I'm moving on, and the next one has quite a few different types of leaves. There's actually this long bunny ear looking floppy, like a lop-eared bunny shape. These little tiny, even tinier, that probably coordinates with those tiny ones, and then these longer ones with the little lines in them. So I'm gonna go by my recipe that I came up with. And the very first one is this pastel tints color called cowslip. That must be a plant, I would imagine. I don't think it's related to cows. And this is a very soft, to me, the color, I think of it as, because I think of everything in Stampin' Up colors. Stampin' Up is the stamping company that I am a demonstrator for, and they always have 50 colors, and one of their colors is called soft seafoam. And when I use this color, that is what I think of it as. So that was very quick to do. Now we're going to do moss, and I even wrote that I was only doing the light and medium of the mosses. So let's get those going, and that is going to be these little leaves, which we're going to switch to this light, the lightest of the mosses, which is really called apple green. And this is pretty much across the board what apple green looks like, but it makes a nice lighter moss color for me. I think other people would choose a more goldy looking color than the green, but I just picked the green. So we've got these two, we've got this one, and then there's this tiny, tiny leaf. Oops, you can't see it. Okay, then I'm going to switch. Before I switch, let me just do a little bit of the medium moss. I have a phone call. It is my mom. She calls me every day. So it used to be that my phone, when I got a phone call from somebody or a text, my video would stop, and I've noticed that they fixed that. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of dark here. You can see that when you compare the two, it still is a completely different color tone between the moss and the cowslip pastel tint color. Okay, so now we have the colors. I'm using two of them for, oh, and I decided this little leaf that's got the dots, that's a different leaf structure, but I am using the, I guess I'm using light and dark, 85 and 88. Here we go. So I'm using these two, the lightest and the darkest, to give some good contrast, and again, to make them look different. And what I could do, if I go with this long bunny ear looking leaf, and I go with the dark, this should end up looking very different than this little dotted set of three leaves. So if Hub comes home, I will probably stop what I am doing and come back later to finish off the video. All right, so those are the darker. And now I'm going to come in with the lighter color, which is kiwi green. So it has I would call it a more lime color. You can see right here is the apple green, and there is the kiwi green. They definitely have a completely different tone. And you can always leave a little white edge if you want to add a little bit more interest to your leaves. There are many leaves that have white around the edge. Okay, so now I just have the dotted leaves, and I see I missed this one that's supposed to be the very light color, so I'll come back and fix that. So now I am going to, I think to make sure, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come along and really darken this, but more as a shadow than anything. And then I'm going to lay this down and grab what is called 86, which is the middle tone. So even though I only picked 2 full color combinations with 2 different tones, I have like 8 pencils to work with, so I can generate more different gradients of green than just the 2. Okay. I'm going to come back in here with the dark. But no, I think I'm going to move on. I've got the cowslip pastel tint here, so I've done that because we're making a good progress. So now I've got, he's home, so I will come back later to finish it up. All right, I am back. We got everybody settled. Hub is off on a bike ride, and I am gonna finish up the last 15 minutes here. I am hoping to go super fast. We will see if I can do that. Again, I thought that these lily pads look like orange slices to me. I'm starting with this very light color on all of them. We'll see if pulling one by one works well, rather than laying all of the pencils out, because then it gets kind of hard to access them. And then this guy down here, he looks like the top view of a pumpkin. So I'm not sure if I'm going to make these lily pads a variety of colors. We have like 3 different styles of lily pads. So we will see if I end up making some variations between the 3. I think I skipped the medium dark one. Okay, for now, I'm going to leave this guy, this little pumpkin looking one, the lightest, but I'll probably come back in and darken everything up a little bit when I can see it better up close. Get some dark shading going on. But that's enough for the moment. And then the large leaves I have set at being the colors that I worked on, same as the lily pads. And I have the darkest in my hand, so I'm going to go ahead and do some dark along the lines. And then the upper leaves are going to be basically the light and the dark of the moss color. Alright, so now we're going backwards. Bet you guys can hear the dryer because I didn't close the door. And I am going to finish this first and then I will pause and go close the door, so you don't have to hear it. So this is the lightest of the colors for the leaf green. Oh, and now I really have to go because it will keep beeping until you do something with it. It is a very obnoxious dryer. And these leaves are done. I will come back in and do the moss ones next. I will be right back. All right, just a few minutes left, and I'm going to grab the moss. I want to get at least a couple of the backgrounds done, and then I will go away and finish the last background so that we can move on tomorrow. The moss colors, we've got the lightest and the darkest for these little tiny leaves that will be very quick to do. Yep, closing the doors makes all the difference in the world. I can't hear the dryer now. All right, I'm not even going to do the dark. I will come in and darken that up later so that I can get going on our background. So I have night sky, and in this case the water right here. I pulled for the bubbles this very light color, this aqua, unless it's not, yeah, delphinium. This was one of my inspirational colors. I knew I wanted these to be, I already talked about, I wanted this to look like a somewhat tropical, not looking like a pond. All right, so that's that. So my inspiration, right here, this is not what, it says coral, it says fluorescent. And the reason why I picked this for the coral colors is that Hub has a top I bought him, a tank top that's this color, and it is like glowing. So I just grabbed this, and then when I colored with it, it was just a soft coral. It was not fluorescent or neon. So I didn't get to go with the neons, and I decided to stick with it. And I'm going to start with the darkest. The darkest, here's our three colors. Deep teal, 70. Followed by blue emerald, 67. And deep turquoise, 64. And then sitting here in the wings, should I need to use it, is turquoise. And then the color that I did, this aqua color, I tried to do some blending with it, and I could not get it to blend when I did my combo, so I had to pull this Arctic blue. It is, wow, I cannot read that, 59. So that is so far the only issue that I have had with the blending of the pastel tints with the Evazar, was that one, I just could not get a nice blend, so I had to go back to a lighter Evazar. And that was there isn't that light of an Evazar, so it needed to be that Arctic blue. So I do have a shadow tone. Did I write it down? Charcoal 129 is what I will be using for adding some shadows, dark shadows around the images. So this is an aqua color. It's not a traditional night sky color, but I thought that it went really nice with my unusual palette. And I want to get just enough here so that you can see my vision. And I'm not sure these transitions to the lighter colors, if I will do too much, because I still want it to look night sky-esque, but I want you to see that we've got this tone. And I thought I would use a circle stencil to make it all formal, but then when I was doing my mock-up last night, and like I said, I was doing a lot more coloring in the mock-up than I normally do, and it looked just fine when I just was coloring kind of to the edge without formally drawing a little circle. So there it is. That is my vision, crazy as it is. So let's go over here now and do this one. I will probably do gel pen / acrylic marker in white to finish it off. I now will have 2 pages for my weekly color in review, and I will then give myself, this is Friday, that will be on Sunday. So we're going to move on to the next image tomorrow. I will be working on the fine details of this image and the moth image, so they're ready to present on Sunday. So this is an example of what the colors look like when on the Evazar when their tips are dull. So this has been used quite a bit, and I can sharpen it up and go back through and still get some darker tones. These Evazar pencils, the combos are fantastic. Since this has more color, I'm hoping to be able to blend to the lighter color so you can see roughly how this background will be looking. So some of the backgrounds will blend to the lighter color, more so than this frog image, which is, it stayed quite dark. All right, so there's that one roughed in for you. So now let's take a look at the butterflies, and we are a little bit over time, so I'm going to just finish maybe just the centers of the butterflies and then call this one done. The important thing is that you see what I had envisioned. So there, this one has a lot of green, so you don't see a ton of the sky. I see I missed those 2 leaves. I will be fixing that. So, over time by a few minutes, but I think this gives you a good view of my unique color palette I was after. So, I hope you enjoyed coloring with me today. Tomorrow we will be moving on, and I'm not even going to speculate right now because we're out of time. I was too busy coloring. So there you have it. There's the 2 butterflies mocked up, and then the frog on the pond, and then the little bluebells. So do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we will color again tomorrow.